So you gotta catch them all, right? As you can see, I have every iPhone 16 model, including the new member of the family, the iPhone 16e. I have both models, one in black and one in white. And I briefly want to go over all the design changes, cover some of the main differences between every model, so you can see from up close how they look, because you need to know that there are some really important distinctions you need to know of. All right, guys, we have them all here laid out. The iPhone 16 family now complete with the new iPhone 16 here. Here's the white finish. Here we have the black finish. They both look absolutely clean and minimal. And I briefly want to show you all the design differences. Just compare them so you have a good overview of how they look. Let's start with the new member of the family, the iPhone 16e. So this is the white version. As we can see here, we have this massive single lens camera design. I think it looks absolutely clean and I really like it. The microphone and LED or flash module are outside of the lens, comparable as with the iPhone 16 models. If we look, for example, at the 16 Pro Max, we can see these are all integrated in the lens frame design. But for the 16e, it looks more like the iPhone 16. So we have one single camera lens. If we look at the buttons and on the sides, we can see this nice silver aluminum frame, comparable as on the iPhone 16 models. So as you can see here, the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro and Pro Max, they have a more like rounded edge, whereas on the iPhone 16e, it's more of a hook. There's more of an angle in the edge. You can really feel that difference. It's subtle, but it is noticeable. And just looking at the buttons, we have our on and off button, no camera control. So that's one of the first major design differences compared to the other models. So we have camera control here on the iPhone 16. It's also available on the 16 Plus. If we have a close look at the 16 Pro, obviously we know it's there as well. So no camera control on the 16e. Next, if we have a look at the other side, we can see here there is an action button. So that was actually a nice surprise. We do have the action button and now also supports visual intelligence, and we know that this is coming to all the action button iPhones, so basically every 16 Pro and also the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max that have the action button. Next, we have a USB-C that's now on every single iPhone. Actually pretty much expected with the EU forcing Apple to go USB-C on all their devices. Yeah, let's just quickly compare the designs. We have the dual fusion camera system here on the iPhone 16. Same size more or less. If we have a look at the display, we can see that the bezels are the same, but the only major difference you immediately can tell is we have a notch on the iPhone 16e and the dynamic island on all the other iPhone 16 models. That's, I think, a massive miss. I understand why Apple is doing it, because they want to keep the distinction between the more affordable iPhone 16e compared to the iPhones in the rest of the lineup. I'm really a massive fan of the dynamic island. I think it's extremely valuable and useful. Take that into account when you consider purchasing an iPhone 16e. Now let's go to the iPhone 16 Plus. Obviously, this is the bigger model. You can see here massive difference in display size, the dual lens camera module again. And also important to note, obviously, is that the iPhone 16e is just coming into two finishes. So we have the black and the white, whereas the iPhone 16 is coming in an array of different colors. We have our blue, we have our pink, teal option, and obviously a black and white finish as well. Now let's compare it to the iPhone 16 Pro. We can see this massive camera design difference. A triple camera system here with LiDAR and flash integrated into this one single lens design on the back. Obviously, this is made out of titanium, whereas the iPhone 16e is made out of aluminum. Let's briefly get the other black as well. It's nice to compare both blacks here. So this is the iPhone 16e. The black is, as you can see, darker compared to the iPhone 16 Pro's black. Obviously, they're both fingerprint magnets, but as you can see here, the black on the iPhone 16e absorbs more fingerprints and smudges compared to that on the iPhone 16 Pro. Maybe this has to do with with that this is aluminum versus titanium? I actually don't know, but you can notice the big differences between like the smudges and the fingerprints on both black versions. And then lastly, let's compare it to the star of the lineup, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. This is the Desert Titanium one. Again, the huge difference in camera is extremely noticeable. Both have the action button and no camera control on the iPhone 16e. Also, if we compare the displays, we can see like the bezels on the iPhone 16e are pretty big compared to that of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Extremely noticeable, especially if you look at more on the inside of the device. And let's do a little bit of a brightness test. So let's open it up and put full brightness on both devices. So this is 1200 nits and this is 2000 nits. In daylight, it's not that noticeable, but you can see it. And let's put it all the way down to the bare minimum. Not that noticeable in daylight, but yeah, you have to take into account that the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max display comes with plenty more features, like for example always on display. These have promotion as well. This is still 60 Hz.
So let's briefly talk about the price. So if you might know by now, the iPhone 16e starts at $599 US. If we compare this to the iPhone SE 2, the second generation that was released in 2020, this is a pretty substantial price increase. That one had a price tag of $399 US, so a difference of $200, which is quite a lot. And in March 2022, the third generation iPhone SE was released. This iPhone SE 3 had a price of $429 US. So that is a difference of $170 compared to the iPhone 16e. That is also still a lot. But I think we should not see the iPhone 16e as a follow-up of the iPhone SE, but as a true new member. Likely we will get the iPhone 17e and 18e in the upcoming years. Now if we continue with this lineup I have in front of me and compare the prices, we now have the iPhone 16 that has a starting price of $799 US, the iPhone 16 Plus with its massive 6.7 inch display that starts at $899 US, and next in line we have the iPhone 16 Pro. This model starts at $999 US. Compare this to the iPhone 16e, we have a price gap of already $300. And to finish, our flagship iPhone, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, starts at $1,199 US, which is double the price of the basic iPhone 16e with 128 gigabytes. And so friends always ask me, which iPhone should I buy? Well, there's just not a clear answer to this question, as choosing the right iPhone depends really on your budget, your needs, and obviously your color preference.
Alright, so that's the full comparison of the design and some of the main features between the iPhone 16e and the rest of the lineup. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the new iPhone 16e. Do you think it's going to be selling like hotcakes, or do you think it's going to be a flop? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the design. Thanks for being here. Hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, and like this video, and see you in the next one. Thanks.